All right, everybody. Well, welcome to the April meeting of ANC3C's Transparency and Public Processes Committee. The only thing that we have on our agenda today is a discussion of a possible ANC3C letter to the council on the mayor's proposed budget for FY25, which was released last week. So I was speaking with some of our fellow ANCs who have some thoughts. I have some thoughts, but if anybody would like to go before me, please feel free. If not, I
You
will.
can go ahead.
Okay. So in talking to Rick, Rick would like to see the MPD presence in the Cleveland Park and Woodley Park business districts funded a little bit longer. I don't know if this is where we would fund that because obviously this doesn't take effect until October. Um, Janelle and I have also spoken about buses, bike lanes, bridges, and there was one other B that I am missing, and possible addition on MPD. So I think the buses were fully funding WMATA, I believe. It was not the circulator. Bike lanes, either a status on Concept C or why Concept C was not included in the budget. Bridges for obvious reasons. And MPD, I believe Janelle was leaning towards funding MPD at its current levels, if I'm not mistaken. And then we also talked about schools because schools are facing a very steep cut, and that's not something that we support uh, in any way.
Guess I'm mostly okay with all those. Only one I would add is a funding for OP to conduct racial equity analysis of historic districts. I mean, it seems like it's already like kind of on the way, but I know we had a resolution on it, and
Yeah.
I'd like to add that. And then I guess I was thinking, I mean, I think we should tell them where to cut. And I was actually thinking we proposed that we cut from OA and C, specifically the director's budget. Um, because like they're gonna say like, well, what do you want us to cut? And in my mind, like that is probably the worst use of DC funds. So I actually want to probably submit something that we need to cut OANC. And specifically, like if within that, I think the director position is irrelevant. I think the staff there is great, and it could be subsumed within some other agency, but I don't think I would say like if we want to cut somewhere, I would suggest OANC.
Okay. That's not a bad idea. I don't know if Janelle is able to unmute.
Yeah, I'm on the
Oh,
bus right now. So that's why I was trying to
that's fine.
let y'all talk before. See. Um, so I really coming directly out of see there. But you're not talking about like cutting the funds the allotments to ANCs, right? You're talking about within the office.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about defunding that office. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Okay. And like the duplication of like the general counsel versus like when we go to get advice from like OAG,
Yep, I can include that. I mean, anything
that
that we want to cut from
position
that office.
to,
Yep.
yeah. Okay. Um, and the printer and just have the MOU with the libraries that we can just print there as many copies as we want, right?
I mean, would be easy.
That would be way easier than going down to the Wilson building.
Well, and I mean, like the Wilson building is semi-accessible for us, but not for everybody. So that's actually not a bad idea. And then the only other thing that I had was in passing conversation with Robert. There is a substantial amount, it looks like, of money that's being cut from the Main Streets program. I don't know how we
So,
want to.
so I listened in on the budget hearing of government witnesses for that for a bit, not
Mhm.
like extensively, but the bits that I heard was that like that 25 or 27% increase that they did receive was never meant to be permanent. So it's not technically a cut. It's just going back to its previous level of funding.
Okay.
And then also, uh, there was discussion with Councilmember McDuffie regarding the clean streets teams, and I think that that is something that is really important to actually fund through that program. Is these clean street teams and hiring more staff to do that and paying them better, because that's getting folks that need a job doing that. So it's fixing a couple of problems. Not fixing, but it's
No, yeah.
better for things, right? To to have that program be funded specifically, because I don't know what the hell technical assistance these Main Streets programs are providing. Anyways, I don't know how consistent it is across the different Main Streets programs. But I think the clean streets part of the Main Streets programs is something that's tangible and that we all in our community can see, right? The result of.
So yes.
So I kind of want to rewatch that tape because I think it was an I real job, gets in the way sometimes. Because I think that conversation, there's a thread there that I'd like to tease out, especially since we've heard people's concerns about the promenade, and it gets pretty dirty between Woodley Park Metro and the zoo too, you know,
Yeah.
just because the tourists don't realize like litter bins exist in the world.
Or they do, and they remove them and they still put them perfectly.
I have to send Swally that photo.
That was a
Swally,
great.
they removed a litter bin down near the Woodley Park Metro, and somebody just placed McDonald's cup exactly where the litter bin was. And I took a photo, and 311 did already.
That is amazing.
It was just somebody was clearly as angry as I was. I wrote in the 311 request that it was not I who placed the litter where the litter bin was.
So my question for you, and I mean you can obviously go back and watch. Are you asking that the money for clean streets uh not be distributed through Main Streets programs and they just be distributed through the DC government? Because isn't Clean Street aren't they like their services required or not contracted, I guess is the word, through Main Streets?
Yeah, they are. I think there needs to be a level of oversight over it that doesn't currently exist, because I'm not understand. I'll read further into it and give better, hopefully, if I understand it, guidance as to what we want. I'm fine with it being administered through the Main Streets program. I just don't
But they have to.
understand why Main Streets program is telling me that they don't have a clean street program money when there clearly exists that program. And it seemed like McDuffie was asking for it to be more funded than it currently is.
Well, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I know
'Cause-
Robert is trying to do stuff with that triangle on 24th Street, and he can't buy plants and or dirt with Main Street money. He has to go through, he would have to buy them from the Clean Streets program, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, and overly sillily stupid.
DC government just
Well, that the problem with that particular pocket park was that it was just always neglected and
Yeah.
overgrown and full of rat burrows and overgrown whatnot. And DDOT, DPW, and everybody else was just shifting blame when we'd asked for it to be cleaned up. So it's, I mean, when I walked by there today, it looks awesome.
Yes, it does. Well, it's spring and the garden is springing.
Weird.
And the only other thing that I am debating, I would like to pick your brains on, is we obviously spent $515 million in taxpayer money to fund sports teams, one of which is doing very well right now, and if they continue, will make me very happy, but be that as it may. So there's some questions in the budget. If the mayor is offering, it appears $520 million for other downtown initiatives. So I guess people are wondering if this is 515 plus $520 million, or what is this exactly? The other thing that I was reading through and I found very bizarre is that in the Events DC budget, which is responsible for the oversight of RFK, should the district claim RFK, there is a long-standing local ordinance that prohibits Events DC from using taxpayer money to gain control of RFK, which, implies that they can't lobby Congress to gain control of RFK. That is being proposed to be removed in this budget, which means that we would be spending taxpayer dollars to gain control of RFK for the purpose of a football stadium. Do we have
But
thoughts?
I thought the district has regained control of the land.
No.
This,
So it passed the House.
okay,
It has not passed the Senate.
okay. But but that bill isn't passing through Congress with the stipulation that the District of Columbia is then mandated to put a stadium on top of the land. Like, it's
So the bill is passed that the District of Columbia has to use it as a mixed use development,
okay,
is my reading of it.
okay,
So we have a lease on the land right now. You are correct. The
right,
lease on the land right now requires only parking and a football stadium.
okay.
Should this bill pass, it would allow for more development on the property. But what's in the Events DC budget is that they would be allowed to use money to gain control of the land for the purpose of building a stadium.
That would be operated and maintained
By the District
by
of,
the District of Columbia.
well, it doesn't say operated or maintained because obviously we own Nationals Park, but we don't operate it. Because I believe Nats Park is operated by the Washington Nationals. So it could be operated by somebody else, but it would be owned by the District of Columbia.
How much is in dollar amount is in the budget
there
for
is
this? And is it a capital improvements?
there's no money tied to it. It's in the budget. It would remove language that would prohibit the long-standing law that would reverse the long-standing ordinance that we would not use taxpayer money to gain control of RFK. So I guess what my fear is that a situation could present itself that was similar to what happened with Monumental Sports, and then the mayor is like, "Oh, I found $700 million. Here you go."
Yeah, that seems a little not great. Um, so what I think we need to put these things like because that's we're going further afield, I
Yeah.
guess, from our geography. But I think it would be important to point out and get others to like
Well, like,
also
so that my frustration with that,
daylight it.
right. Well, and it also goes back to like we're going to use money on that, but the students at MacArthur were promised an auditorium and are again not getting an auditorium. So,
Yeah, I agree. It's just it's not like there's a dollar amount attached to
no,
it right now, so that makes it like a little less like of a tangible thing.
got it.
But I agree we should include it, but it shouldn't be at like the top of
No,
the
no,
list.
no, definitely not. And that is all I had from my quick reading of this budget.
Can I make one more comment about MPD?
Yes.
So like if Rick wants MPD like patrols added or whatever, I mean, I think we should make sure that that's actually something that it's in, that is something we should. I mean, it just seems I don't just want to ask for something just because we feel like we have to ask for it. You know what I mean? Like if it's already funded and it's in there, I don't want to like double ask for it. If that makes sense. But
Well, I think what he was, well, his main thing was that he wanted the foot patrols funded in Cleveland Park and Woodley Park through whenever. He didn't give me a date.
but does this budget like actually deal with that, or is it just in
I
his
don't think
mind?
so. I don't
No,
think
it
that the
no, it
right.
does not because
Right.
they're
So
they already have a lot of FTEs that they haven't filled in this prior year budget, right? Which is why they keep saying we have all these people on overtime, and they're the the proposed budget is trying to add even more FTE positions to it. Uh, so, and it's hard to discern if they're like officer level positions or if it's like these other things that MPD wants to do that aren't officers, like in the traditional patrol officer way.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, I don't think that uh, we need to be sending in like patrol officers out to investigate like uh pedestrian crashes. That should be like done by somebody who isn't necessarily, a police union officer. So it's unclear like where that distinction is in this budget, or at least what I've read of it.
That was my understanding.
That it's all like uniform badge and gun officers.
Well, my understanding was that they were going to try to bring in more people who would work for MPD and have some police quote unquote powers, but are not officers that would do more like 911, what's your emergency? Like my car got broken into overnight, like they would send somebody that could take a report, but that isn't a police officer.
All I'm saying is if Commissioner Nash wants that, I think we should ask him what particular line item he's
Yeah.
looking at or what he's like. I just don't want to put something in there just for the sake of putting in there. You know what I mean?
Yes. There is
And
a
Adam, if you would rather I ask him that, I'm happy to do that.
no, I can ask him. That's not a problem. He's just in South Africa, so. Um, the other thing that I saw in there for MPD that I thought was interesting that I do want to like look into a little bit more before we comment on it was investments in technology for higher tech cameras and things of the sort. So I do want to take a look at that, but I'm not opposed to them getting more high def cameras and things like that, but I just want to make sure that those cameras are being distributed equally throughout all of the wards.
Well, you guys saw the email where like we need to get folks to register their existing cameras with
Yes.
MPD, which I thought they were collecting that information when they were giving the rebate program to put the cameras in.
I thought that they were
So
emailing us about people that
I'm
didn't.
really confused.
I thought they were emailing us. Hold on, I can pull it up. About people that have cameras, but that may have not gone through the rebate program.
Right. It's anyone who has the cameras but without the rebate program if they want the police to have access to their camera.
Well, no, they didn't. They'll never have access to the camera. The police will just be able to know the addresses to canvas to get the camera footage for
Yeah.
like the date and specific period of time. Because when
So
you
here it is.
say the police have access to it, it freaks people out.
It says, please consider encouraging your neighbors to make our community safer by registering your camera system, such as your doorbell camera or other privately installed CCTV systems. Doing so gives officers advanced knowledge that someone in the area affected by crime may have evidence. Registration is free, and police will not have access to your camera systems without your consent. So I guess it's just like they'll have you on a map, and if a crime occurs, like on Calvert Street, like they'll have like all of the
Right.
maps of like who has
Yeah. So
camera.
sorry I said that way. You both are right.
I think that's that if that's my understanding of the reading of the email that came.
Yeah. But when I was talking to MPD, but these were also patrol officers and investigators come out and investigate the crime, and they might have access to the data of where the rebate program cameras live. But they also said that there is separation between, because the rebate is not done through MPD's budget. It was done through like OAG.
Victim services, yeah.
Yeah. So that is a bit confusing, and I think unnecessarily so.
Well, I think it has to do with MPD not providing money for private businesses and things like that,
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
even though they direct me to the self-checkout in the Whole Foods in Town.
The other thing is the automatic traffic enforcement
Yes.
cameras and the revenue that's generated from that, like not being spent for like safer street road diet project. Is that still a thing in this budget?
I believe so.
Well, we should suggest rerouting the money to safe street
Yeah.
programs.
Yep.
By the way, the testimony for tomorrow's DDOT hearing is up on the LIMS right now. And so there's a slide deck that includes like the highlights that she's going to cover in her initial statement. And in the capital improvements budget, which is the next 5 years for safety improvements on Connecticut Avenue, it's only, I believe, 23.1 million, which I think Swale eliminates the.
Well, we don't know what that's for, because that 23 point whatever million, part of it is the DuPont Circle one. Then I think there's something on Van Ness, and I think the one that's specifically for Connecticut Avenue reversible lane is 9.7 million. So, and it's not clear what that 9.7 million is for. You know, it's I'm not 100. That's the part that I'm hoping our council member asks. But yeah, it's 9.7 million basically for the Connecticut Avenue multimodal safety project, reversible lane type stuff. The other stuff is DuPont and I think Van Ness. Yep.
The DuPont one, are you talking about the cap and stitch over the tunnel?
Yep. I think that's the part. That's the one.
I didn't think that was considered in the bucket of street safety. Like this is referring to improvements on high injury networks.
Right, but it's
which I don't think that's a high injury network project.
Yeah, I know, but I'm pretty sure 17.5 of that is the DuPont decking. Then another 11.5 million is for north of DuPont streetscape, and there's 19 million for Van Ness exterior plaza renovation. So it's 9.7 for the reversible lanes are only 9.7 is from what I understand.
Okay.
I love how we're developing a comprehensive travel and transit plan for Capital One Arena, as if we don't already have one.
Rich people don't like the metro.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why, but I also don't know why that's $15 million, but sorry, I'm just looking at this slide deck right now. Oh no, actually, oh yeah, no.
Yeah, and the bike network
$33.7 million for the Vision Zero project.
conveniently cross to an inconvenient.
Safe routes to schools.
Both of you are getting kind of cut off. I don't know if Adam, can you hear Janelle?
Hallway where.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Janelle is still getting cut off.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm walking through my hallway.
So,
I might lose you guys for a second.
I'm looking at the GDOT automated traffic enforcement budget, and it's not. So yeah, we should ask for that to go back to safe. Sorry, not safe routes to school. Safe streets. Swale, do you have any big sadness that the circulator is being cut, or any desire to fight for the circulator, or do
Yeah,
we?
Yeah, we should definitely fight for the circulator.
Okay. Circulator. The FY25 budget operates 6 circulator routes through March 2025 and then winding down the entire system. I guess what I like about specifically the National Mall circulator route is that it somewhat keeps tourists off WMATA. But that's just obviously a preference. Here it is. The FY25 budget request 32.2 million to support bike lane construction in the district. The highlights are the Columbia Road, 11th Street, 17th, and Mount Olive Northeast. So obviously not Connecticut. So
Well, I feel like there, Connecticut wasn't, it's not designed yet, so,
true.
you know, I don't think it should be in there for construction.
And I think that might be it for this. I mean, we could write some.
With
Oh,
the bike lane thing though,
yeah. Sorry.
I think it would be helpful. My understanding is this is a 5-year like plan for the capital improvements projects. So where is it funded for construction somewhere in those 5 years or not? And like, I just want
So it's a
clarification and not
5-year
to lead.
plan. Oh, Janelle, your bridge is very highlighted in this slide deck.
Yeah, it is. Although, I mean, I don't understand. Well, I guess I do understand, and I don't want to complain about uh doing the structural improvements and the pedestrian railing improvement project and like waiting for the structural improvement design to be done before we do the railings, because obviously the
It says
railings are
funds.
nearly done design.
Well, yeah,
Like
no, it says
that's
funds the installation of safety fencing along the bridge for the immediate term,
yes.
as well as design and construction of a structural rehabilitation in the longer term.
Yeah, so they clearly found some things when they are uh doing the railings. So that's
But going back to bikes for just a quick second, um, if it's okay with you guys, you two, I would like to include maybe like a short sentence or two that we are in support of the increased funding for capital bike share.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, they've given us a lot of good news stations, I feel like, over the past year.
Well, yeah, and their stats are out of control.
Yeah. It's
I
just
mean, like,
unfortunate that people are risking their lives
well,
riding them up and down Connecticut Avenue.
I mean, yes. If the bikes are at the cost of the circulator, I mean, from the stats that they're giving, like the bikes are severely outpacing the circulator in terms of ridership,
Yeah.
which is surprising. All right. Well, I guess we have another half hour, but if maybe we could ask them to include money to figure out how to get the lights on the Taft Bridge to work. But if that's all, oh, Janelle dropped. Swale, Janelle, do you have anything else that you would like to add
No,
on to
I'm good, I'm good finishing the meeting.
Janelle? Do you have anything else?
Uh, again, I still need to
Yeah, no, I hear
give it
you.
more time. It's annoying how this has lost 2 weeks of time.
So
Um,
I know you and I talked about it, and I'm sorry to cut you off,
no,
but go ahead.
you're fine. Go ahead.
When is the first, like, I am okay to write something tentatively and put it on our agenda, but if you feel like we might need more time, I think we have time, but I'm just trying to see when the first vote is. I think it's May 12th or May 20 something.
Yeah. That's the thing is like, I feel like providing feedback early is going to get us the best chance for it to be heard. But it's also difficult to give feedback when you haven't heard the budget hearing, like for each individual agency and the questions that go back and forth.
Oh, here, I'm just looking at the schedule. Committee hearings are scheduled to run from April 4th to April 10th. The budget hearing and markups will occur May 3rd. Markups will occur May 8th to the 10th, and the council will work in a budget work session through the 15th. The council's first budget vote will be on May 29th and the second on June 12th. Well, so the budget hearing should be wrapped by the 10th, if I'm reading this correctly. That's not true.
That's not true. Yeah. Because I thought they go to the end of the month.
Yeah. And our May meeting is on May 20th, so we would be too late. So, I mean, I'm happy to draft something and circulate it. We can obviously amend it in between if we want to like add an amendment or submit something else to the record, we could do so at our May 20th meeting, but we should probably get our letter in for the budget work session on the 15th.
Yeah. I agree with that too. I mean, it's just not going to be as, I hate to use the word, robust as it can
No.
be. um, just, yeah, not hearing that initial round of conversation and feedback from others. By the way, so far, I think Matthew Barclay is out of the office,
Yes.
which is why we haven't had a request to have
Budget speaker.
yeah.
Okay.
Are we okay with that?
Do you want a budget speaker?
I know Swally does. He loves
I
that.
absolutely do not want a budget speaker. They're not gonna. I mean, I guess you knew this. That's why you're saying that. They're just gonna come and spew the mayor's talking points. No, I think even if they give us one, we should say no, unless it's DDoT.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy if you would like to say no. I'm happy if you say yes. I don't have a preference either which way. Swale is not wrong, or Commissioner Siddiqui is not wrong. They're gonna just come in
No, we're aware. We've been down this road before.
with the press release.
Yeah.
Although the guy we had last year was really good.
Yeah, it took a lot of work to get him. Okay. I know in our PSED committee meeting, we might have the Office of Planning come to present more on the upzoning matters, which might result in some discussion of budge from there.
Okay.
But it wouldn't be focused on that. So, yeah.
Fine by me.
Cool.
Well, thank you both for attending this meeting, and I guess that's it.
All right. We got to get this. Can you stop the recording now? Please. Sorry.
Yes, but we need to hold on. I have to figure out how to do that.